Are you measuring the right numbers in your business? In fact, you probably are measuring the wrong thing and too many of the wrong thing. As an outsourced accountant, I see this all of the time. A lot of businesses go out of business, not because they're not paying attention, but because they're paying too much attention. I want to show you what you should be measuring and how to measure it. Let's get into it. Hello, fellow entrepreneurs. My name is Eddie Hood. I am one of the partners here at Ignite Spot Outsourced Accounting. And today I'm going to be walking you through what you should be tracking in your business if you, one, want to stay in business, but two, want to keep growing. And I think we all feel like, I shouldn't say all, I can't speak for everybody, but I talk to hundreds of entrepreneurs around the country all the time about their finances. And what I'm finding is that entrepreneurs aren't clueless. They're clued in too much and they're paying attention to too many metrics and too many numbers. So when I get into people's accounting systems and I look at what's called their chart of accounts, which is just a list of all of the accounts we're tracking from cash to receivables and debt and so on, there are more often than not thousands of these accounts. And as you come up with all sorts of ways to mix and match them and compare them to each other, what accountants call ratios, we tend to overcomplicate the finances and then we drown in numbers and we get absolutely nothing done. So let's jump into what you should be tracking. Okay, so the most important thing in your business is cash. We all know that cash is king, no surprise there, but you would be surprised at how many entrepreneurs forget this in search of a better quote unquote metric. But really at the end of the day, the most important metric in your business is your cash. And for some reason, we feel like that's simple and that's not sophisticated enough. So we have to come up with current ratios and asset ratios and liquidity ratios and debt ratios and all sorts of inventory turnover ratios. You know what? Those are all ways to look at your numbers, but the only thing that matters is if you've got cash in the bank account. So let's start there. Do you have a system in place to actually pay attention to your cash balance? The next thing I want to talk about is this book, Measure What Matters by John Doerr. He was a big deal in, I believe, Google and other companies. It's been a while since I've read this book, but the idea is pretty simple. He teaches a concept called OKR instead of, metrics, key metrics, so KPIs. His OKR stands for objective and key results. And this is interesting because most entrepreneurs lose sight of their objective. In other words, what are you trying to do as a business? Then you should craft key result numbers in order to make sure that thing happens. This is a good concept. Instead of just blindly going with a bunch of ratios you found on some accounting website or even that your accountant told you to go with because they sound sophisticated, you should back up and you should start with what you're trying to do as a business. Little story here, I was the controller for a home builder many, many years ago at the beginning of my accounting career. And I went to our CEO thinking I knew everything because I had a degree in accounting. I don't know why I quoted that, but I did. Anyway, I brought in a list of metrics that I thought would really benefit him, and he threw all of them away, and he taught me a very valuable lesson. A lesson similar to what John is teaching in this book. He sat me down and he said, Eddie, I love that you're coming to this business situation with enthusiasm and you care about making us profitable, but we build homes. And so there are only a couple numbers I care about. One, how much cash do I have in the bank account so I can keep building homes? Two, how many digs did we start that month? Digs means how many holes did we dig for new homes? Because once you dig a house, you get a down payment from the buyer and a loan is established with the bank and lots of financial things take place. So we absolutely had to track that key metric. I would absolutely encourage you to look at your business and say, hold on, what are we trying to do here? And what are the numbers that actually drive that success? One way to think about this, it can actually be somewhat confusing, is that most standard key metrics come after the activity has taken place. They do nothing to influence the growth or performance of your business. They tell you what you did. They don't make things better. So if you think about it, most accountants will come in and they'll take numbers that already took place and they'll compare them in some sort of ratio and say, here's your current ratio or whatever. You're going, okay, great. Now I know how much I have in receivables to payables or whatever. But when you're looking at your books like that CEO did from building a home, you can decide how to modify your business to increase your digs, to increase your closes, and to increase your cash balance. those kinds of numbers affect the performance of the business. Those kinds of numbers help you hit your objective. Hey, if you found this helpful, I would love to encourage you to check out IgniteSpot Outsourced Accounting. We would be honored to be your accountants, but we can't do this for everybody. The best way to find out if we're a good fit for you is to go to ignitespot.com, and up in the top banner there, you can click on the free QuickBooks review. Now, if you're in QuickBooks, that's great. We'll jump in and give you some free time. We'll go through the file, tell you what's working, what's not, and we'll give you some suggestions on how we can help you become more profitable. If at the end of that meeting you think it's a good fit, then let's give it a shot. We have month-to-month contracts, we don't lock anybody into anything, and we absolutely care about making you more profitable. All right, that's it. We'll see you next week.